Welcome to this second tutorial on how to use the stat tracker. In this tutorial I'll go more into depth of how to use the different functions in the app and how you should properly use it to get the most correct stats. So here I started a new game. This is a game against Denmark and the Netherlands, and we have the first hitter here is Jonas. And the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that the base out states are correct. And if you're just starting a game, it will be correct that there are no outs and there are no runners on the bases. But let's say you didn't do the stats for the beginning of this inning here, and now you're just picking up from this hitter here, Jonas, and there's actually one runner on first base. So you can always edit the base and the out states. But for now, we're just going to put in the stats for this at bat of Jonas here, starting as the leadoff for this new inning and this new game. And there are no outs and there are no runners on the bases. And then I just watch the player. Where does he hit the ball? And I defined the six hitting zones. So it's not where they land. It's just defining it. Was this a hit? Did he try to make a hit on the ball? And then the other version of noting is if it was a bunted ball. So there's no strict definition other than what was it intended to be a short ball or was it intended to be a long ball. And then these zones are visually laid out here according to the positions of these players. But you know, in a real game of Baseball 5, the players will move around. So just for those who didn't read my book, the zones are just defined based on where the players are positioned. And it doesn't have to be the actual third base standing here or the shortstop standing here. Sometimes the shortstop is all the way over here. But what the zones are indicating is the gap from the foul line to the first player is zone 1. So that's hit H1 or B1. And then the gap between the first player from the left to the next one, and then in this case it's the third base and the shortstop, we have zone 2, and then zone 3 is the gap between the next player. So it doesn't matter where they're positioned, the zones will move with them, and it's not in between any specific players. It's just from left to right how you read a book, the gaps from the foul to the first to and between the two next players and between the next two players and between the next two players, and then zone 6 is from the last player on the right side of the field to the foul line. That's how I define them. So let's say Jonas, he hits one just up the foul line. That's an H1. So that was the direction of the hit. Now the next thing we gotta note is what was the outcome of that hit. And the at-bat results are all results on the hitter. So if he reached base, we note a hit. And I define any kind of reaching. I don't care if it was due to fielder throwing the ball over the head of the first baseman, or if they are bobbling the ball or making a fielding error. It's just a hit. If you get yourself on base and no other runners are out, it's a hit in my book. Then there's the hitting error, and that can be any kind of foul ball, overstepping, hitting the ball too short, hitting it straight on the fence, any kind of out that kills the play that the official will call a dead play and call the batter out and return any runners. That's a hitting error. Then we have running error. And running errors can occur in two places, but this button here is only for a running error on the hitter. So I can really only think of like two examples of running errors, but maybe there are more, where one of them is after the ball is hit into play and the runner is running forward and they are stopping and then moving backwards. The official will call time and call the hitter runner out because you're not allowed to walk or run backwards. That's running error. There could also be a case of a player intentionally running into the first baseman. There would also be called out as on a running error or any kind of other interference going from the batter's box to first base. But that's really only the situations we're using the running error for. If you have another runner on the field making an error, then you would use the running error here under the modifiers, because this up here is strictly for the hitter. Then there's a ground out, and that's out on the base. Like you throw the fielder field the ball and throw it to first base before the hitter gets there. That's a ground out. If the hitter hits a ball that's caught, that's a fly out. And then you have the fielder's choice, and that's in the case of another base runner being out, but the batter reaching base. So it's a reaching base on another runner that's out on the base that they were going to. Okay, so in this case here, we'll just say Jonas got a hit, and then we'll record that hit. So now he's on first base, and the next hitter here is Henrik. So let's say Henrik hits one straight up the middle, and the shortstop stops it, fields the ball, and touches second base. Then that's a fielder's choice. So it says here that we're recording an out. We can record the fielder's choice. Then we have an out, but we got to modify here because then we don't have the runner on second base. So for Anna now, there is one out, and there's a runner on first base. Let's say she hits, she bunts up the line. She records a hit. Now the next batter is Daniel, and he's up to hit. Now there is a runner on first and second base, and there's one out. Let's say he hits one up here between the third baseman and the shortstop, and it's a double play. So they make the out at second base, and then they make the out at second base and then first base. So a classic double play. So that means that the hitter is ground out, right? Because the Daniel is out because the ball eventually gets to first base before he gets there. But we also get another out on the bases. If it wasn't a double play, we would do the fielder's choice before, but the hitter is out, and then we use this plus one out on bases. So that records 2 outs, and we can see after I record this, we will have a total out of total 3 outs. Oops. And then we'll record that. And then now we will see we are in the bottom of the first inning, and now we have Jesse Akabombom, and he's up to hit. And let's say he hits right there, and he also gets on base, so hit. Then his brother, Seal Akabombom, he hits here, and he also managed to get on base. Now we have a runner on first and second base. We got G up to hit, and now she hits a little too hard of a hit or a bunt up the third base line, and the play is that the fielder takes the ball, makes the out at third, throws it to second for the double play, and then throw it to first for the triple play. Okay, very unlikely, but this is Denmark they're up against. So it's a ground out for the hitter, and then we have plus 2 outs on the bases, which means this is a recorded triple play, and that ends the inning. Okay, so now we know how to do double plays and triple plays. But there is another kind of double play that we need to know how to do. So let's say Emilia is up to hit, she hits it right there, she gets on base. The next hitter here, Jonas again. Now he hits it up here to the second baseman, although he is safe. And now we have Henrik up to hit, and he does the same as the Dutch player did in the other inning. He hits it up here, bunt. But what happens is that the third baseman picks up the ball, touches their own base, and then throws the ball to second base for the out. Then they try to do the triple play, but the hitter makes it to base. Henrik makes it to first base. So that means that Henrik he reached on a fielder's choice, but they did get the double play. They get an extra out on the bases. Okay, so this records 2 outs. There we go. And now we do gotta adjust the runners on the bases here. So now we have 2 outs, and we only have Henrik on first base. Now we have Anna up to hit, and let's say she does get a hit, and then Henrik is really fast, and he makes it home. But I forgot to record the RBI on this hit here, so I can actually go back and then I can just add an RBI. There we go. So now we have 1-0 for the Netherlands. Let's try that again and say actually Henrik, he made it to the second base. So we have now Daniel hitting. He's hitting in this zone here. He makes a hit, and then Henrik on second base, he makes it home to score. So we add the RBI here, and then we record the hit, and now we have 2 runs, and we gotta fix that. And we have the hitter Daniel on first base. Let's say we got Amelia hitting. She's hitting here. Is there anything we're missing? Yeah. So she she actually makes a hit, but unfortunately, Daniel he reaches second base, but then after reaching, he takes the next base. He tries to go for third base, but he's then tagged out for the last out. But we want to record a hit for Emilia because she did manage to get herself on base and she moved the runner 1 base. But since the runner chose to advance further and risking an out and therefore getting the out, we use the running error. It's an error on the runner. It doesn't hurt. It shouldn't hurt Emilia's hitting stats. So that's why we get the last out on a running error. Let's say that last inning we had a defensive change on the Dutch team, which means that it's actually not Jason who's hitting now. We want to make sure that we have the right hitter. We can simply go in here and we're saying we're adjusting the 4th position and we want Christian Martina to come in and play instead. And so we just change it like that. And now Christian hits. He gets a hit. There we go. And now he's on first base. And that's really all there is to it. If we want to end the game early, we can just hit that button here. And we'll say, yes, we want to hit the game, end the game early. And now we have the game here. We can look at the stats for the game in here. Then what you want to make sure to do is you want to sync the games to your Google Sheets document. I'm just syncing all the games I have here, exporting them to Google Sheets document, and then I can later download that data and put into the Lineup Architect app.